India has issued a stern response to an attempt by China to raise the Kashmir issue at the United Nations Security Council, saying India firmly rejects China's interference in its internal affairs and asking it to draw proper conclusions from such infructuous attempts. On Wednesday night, Ambassador Tirumurthy, who is India's permanent representative to the UN in New York, tweeted, "Another attempt by Pakistan fails in today's meeting of the UN Security Council, which was closed, informal, not recorded, and without any outcome. Almost all countries underlined that J&K was a bilateral issue and did not deserve time and attention of the Council." Meanwhile, in a fresh statement, the US administration has backed India in the ongoing standoff along the line of actual control in Ladakh, calling out arm twisting by China.
India has hit out at China for making yet another effort to raise the Kashmir issue at the UN Security Council, asking Beijing to draw proper conclusions from such infructuous attempts. It firmly rejected China's interference in India's internal affairs. China had backed an attempt by Pakistan to discuss the Kashmir issue at the UN Security Council on Wednesday, coinciding with the first anniversary of the reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir by India. However, the attempt did not succeed. The government of India issued a stern response. "We have noted that China initiated a discussion in the UN Security Council on issues pertaining to the Indian Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. This was not the first time that China had sought to raise a subject that is solely an internal matter of India. As on such previous occasions, this attempt too met with little support from the international community. We firmly reject China's interference in our internal affairs and urge it to draw proper conclusions from such infructuous attempt." The fresh move by China to internalize the Kashmir issue comes at a time it is engaged in a border row with India in eastern Ladakh. On 5th August 2019, India announced its decision to partially abrogate Article 370 of the Indian Constitution and bifurcate the state into two union territories. Following India's decision, China made multiple attempts to raise the Kashmir issue in the UN Security Council. However, these attempts were rejected by other member nations of the global body. In Delhi, Vice President of India M. Venkaiah Naidu, without naming any country, advised other nations, including those in the neighborhood, to refrain from commenting on India's internal matters.
Such a track record that we discuss issues threadbare, understand pros and cons, and then we take decisions in the larger interest of the country. So this is an issue which concerns our country's unity and integrity, safety and sovereignty. So I advise others, please do not interfere in the internal affairs of other countries.
In another development that underlines US backing for India in the border standoff with China in Ladakh, US Defense Secretary Mark Esper has asserted that China is acting in a way that is inconsistent with international norms and was trying to use the coronavirus tragedy to the advantage for propaganda purposes. He said they continue to twist the arms of others. They have deployed troops along the line of actual control in India. We see them acting out in a way that is inconsistent with, international norms, rules of behavior, if you will, and many of our allies and partners are reacting as well. In a reference to China's belligerence in South China Sea, Esper said, "What we have seen with regard to what happened in the last 7 months coming as part of COVID, if you will, you have seen China become more aggressive trying to use the tragedy of COVID-19 to the advantage of propaganda purposes. They have really overplayed their hand, and we have seen them continue to try and exercise this muscle in the South China Sea." Beijing claims almost all of 1.3 million square mile of South China Sea as its sovereign territory and has been building military bases on artificial island in the region, also claimed by Brunei, Malaysia and Philippines, Taiwan and Vietnam. The Defense Secretary praised Australia and the UK for pushing Huawei out of their systems. He lauded the Australians for a brand new defense strategy that has long-term commitment to funding. According to Esper, the best way to take on the Chinese aggression is to multilateralize efforts against Beijing, as the threat posed by China is not regional but global. The China competition, by the way, is not limited to Indo-PACOM. It is a global competition, so we see them in all parts of the world. So it is multifaceted and it requires tough decisions, and look, we are making those tough decisions as best we can. Meanwhile, two top American lawmakers wrote a joint letter to India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar. The chairman and ranking member of the House Committee on Foreign Affairs said that members of both Democratic and Republican parties recognize the impact that a strong US-India partnership will have on the trajectory on the 21st century. The letter further states that this close relationship is all the more important as India faces aggression from China along your shared border, which is part of the Chinese government's consistent pattern of unlawful and belligerent territorial aggression across the Indo-Pacific.
Regarding the letter from the chairman and ranking member, I think this letter reflects a strong bipartisan support for India in the US. There have been several positive changes in the UT of J&K over the past 1 year, whether be it in terms of ensuring good governance or socio-economic development or developing justice to disadvantaged sections of the population. So all this certainly reflects return to complete normalcy.
The international community is thus increasingly standing up to China's expansionist designs and belligerent ways. The US Defense Secretary's statement that China is arm-twisting countries and acting inconsistent with international norms is yet another instance of the US staring the dragon in its face and backing India against Chinese attempts to unilaterally change course along the LAC in Ladakh. Newsnight Desk, DD India.